Snapchat, good morning, what's going on? Robin and I are breaking our fast. Thank fuck for that. But that was our first meal for 3 or 4 days or so. Feeling pretty good. Let's do a question of the day. Question of the day. How do you forgive someone? What's the process to go and do a forgiveness on someone? This is going to be one of those lessons that might challenge some of your ideas and beliefs and opinions. That's good. If you have a teacher, by the way, and they're not challenging you and giving you information that you find hard to believe from time to time, it probably means they're not the most efficient teacher for you. The best teacher is going to have a balance of stuff you already know and you can agree with and stuff that pushes you. This is your soul. This is your senses. This here is the vertical scale of conscious awareness. The further up the scale you're living, the more angelic you are. An individual who lives in this region at the higher end of things, relatively speaking, lives by their higher mind. Psychologists call this the higher mind. They call this the lower mind. Down here is the dualities and polarities of life, the positivities, the negativities. The higher up the scale you go, the more higher minded you're living, the more enlightened that you become, the lesser your volatility between positivity and negativity. The masters of life are very balanced of mind and emotion. They don't sway too much. They're not volatile emotional bears. And they realize that negativity has positivity and positivity has negativity. Anything that happens to them, in inverted commas, is neutral. It's neither positive nor negative. At infinite awareness, there's no such thing as good and bad. There's no morals at infinite awareness. There's no good or bad. Everything is neutral. Every single event is there to help you grow. The lower our conscious awareness, the more we judge things and split them into conscious and unconscious awareness. And that's where we get judgments. Oh my God, this is really good. Oh my God, this is really bad. Up here is objective actuality. Down here is subjective reality. Everyone has a different reality depending on their level of judgment and conscious awareness. On Earth, at the moment, we have 7.5 billion people. There's 7.5 billion different realities. There's one actuality, 7.5 billion realities. Your reality is determined by the level of actuality that you realize with the senses. And that depends on your conscious awareness and level of judgment. If you could imagine this split just keep going and going and going further and further apart, more polarized judgment, further away from the soul, further away from actuality, the vibration is very slow. Because the further the pendulum has to swing, the longer it takes to do one cycle. That's called low frequency. When you see someone who's vibrating on low frequency, it means they're very polarized in their judgments. The lower the frequency, the denser the object. Steam, lowering the frequency turns into water, lowering the frequency turns into ice. It becomes solid, fixed, stubborn matter. The further things go down, they turn into matter. The further things go up, they turn into energy and light. So, if someone's conscious awareness is way back here and they're oscillating very bloody slowly because they're real dense and they fucking can't see the good and the bad and the bad and the good and they have judgment, the chance of them doing a forgiveness is low. People who are very dense, who are living out of their animal mind, don't like to forgive. They think very fundamentally. Good, bad, black, white. This person did something terrible to me in the past. There's a bad person. I'm never going to forgive them. I'm going to hold a grudge. I'm going to do a revenge. I'm going to dedicate my life to doing a revenge. Very dense. The more that an individual moves up the scale in conscious awareness, the more likely that they'll actually be willing to do a forgiveness. They'll see that, you know what, I'm willing to forgive this person to move on with my life. My personal feeling is that mass human consciousness is sort of moving into that area as an aggregate now. We're sort of realizing, you know what, forgiveness is better than holding a resentment. But forgiveness isn't mastery. Forgiveness isn't endgame shit. The masters of the universe realize that there's nothing to forgive. There's no good or bad. If you're vibrating at infinite frequency, where's the polarity? There is no such thing as positive and negative when you're here, when you're at the soul state. The soul doesn't need to forgive. So there's 3 states of forgiveness. The first state, the most fundamental state, is resentment. Is not forgiving anyone and just having fundamental black and white, this person did a horrible thing, holding resentment and grudges for the rest of your life. The second stage is forgiveness. Forgiveness is better than resentment, but it's not the end game. I want my students to be doing forgiveness. Fuck that. Realize that there's nothing to forgive. And you can do that by realizing the only reason you have a judgment, a negative judgment on one particular person or one particular event is because you're consciously aware of all the negatives that happened and you're unconscious of all the positives that came from that exact same event at that exact same instant in time. So you want to go and stack up all the benefits that came from it. And as soon as you do, as soon as you pull them out of your unconscious awareness and you become conscious of them, you'll smash these two together and you'll go to the next level of conscious awareness. That's how you grow in conscious awareness. You don't need to live your life like a victim, like someone did something bad to you, because they didn't. You're just judging it because you have a conscious unconscious split in the mind. Pull out of your unconscious all the benefits. Literally get a pen and paper and write down the benefits of this happening, the benefits of this person doing this. Keep writing 50, 100 reasons if you have to. Eventually it'll click and you'll sit there and you will be able to say thank you. Thank you for that happening, whatever it was. Thank you for it happening, because I see all these benefits that came from it, the way it made me grow, the primary, secondary, and tertiary opportunities that it exposed me to. I got all these opportunities because of this one particular event that I had previously judged and become a victim to, but now I can see the benefit of it. When it clicks, you'll realize, fuck, there's nothing to judge. There's not a bad thing. It wasn't a good thing. It was just a thing that helped me on my journey. And when you see the light, you go to the next concentric ring of awareness and influence. You grow in consciousness. And that's how you develop in life. That's how you grow. So, to answer the initial question, how do you forgive someone who you thought that did something not nice to you? Get a pen, get a paper, write down all the benefits of them doing that exact thing. Keep writing until you can legitimately, authentically, wholeheartedly say thank you to the person. Thank you, I love you for doing that. That's helped me immeasurably. But forgiveness is not something that I'm going to recommend to my students. You don't want to forgive people. Forgiveness means that you still think they did something wrong, but you're sort of just saying, oh, I'll just mask it over, turn a blind eye. And if you still think that what they did was wrong, you'll probably find that you'll keep attracting that same fucking thing happening to make you realize that, you know what, you need to love this, not just turn a blind eye. I hope you enjoyed my little mini lesson on forgiveness. Let me know if that was completely shocking to you.